Hello, literarians. Welcome back to the Literary Lori YouTube channel. I'm Literary Lori, aka Lori L. Tharps. I am a traditionally published author of mostly nonfiction and one novel, and I'm an aspiring full-time novelist based in the south of Spain. And yes, that is the Mediterranean Sea right behind me. Do not get distracted. I have one question for you. Do you have a literary ancestor in your life? Yes? No? Don't know what I'm talking about? Okay, stick around. Let's talk about it. All right. So let me just explain. I was thinking, why not do my video today outside? Because it's sunny for the first time in a long while. And I feel like what I'm talking about is kind of mystical and spiritual. And nothing is more mystical and spiritual than the ocean, right? So do you have a literary ancestor? Do you know what I'm talking about? Let me try to explain. I am talking about ancestor veneration. I know multiple cultures do some version of ancestor veneration. You know, you have an altar, you don't worship your ancestors, you honor your ancestors that have passed on already. And I'm not getting into whether this is good, whether this is bad, whether this is demonic, Christian. It's not about religion, because so many different cultures do it in so many different ways. If this is not something you are okay with, you may turn off this video. But for the rest of you, I am talking about having a special literary ancestor, a writer who has passed on, who you have a special relationship with, okay? And this relationship allows you to call on this literary ancestor for help in your writing life, okay? I liken it, if you want to put it in religious terms, but there are a lot of Catholic saints, for example. There's the saint of lost things. I'm not Catholic. I hope I'm not offending anybody. But you have saints that are good for different things. Where I'm sitting right now on the beach, there is a shrine not too far from here I forget which Catholic saint it is, but she's the saint of fishermen, and there's a little shrine for her, and every year there's a day when they honor this saint because she protects the fishermen. I know there's a saint for different things, and you pray to her for different things. So I think of having a literary ancestor in a similar way. You have a literary ancestor who means something specific to you, that you I don't want to say pray to, because that would suggest that this is a religious thing, but that you speak to, that you ask for help, for intercession on your behalf, for inspiration. So what is the difference between a literary ancestor and just somebody who you admire their work? What's the difference between being somebody I'm a fan of this work, of this person's work, or they are my literary ancestor? Let me be clear. Let me break it down for you. So you can be a fan of a dead writer. I hate to say it that crass, but a literary ancestor does have to be deceased. Okay, so it's an author who's no longer living, no longer on this terrestrial plane. So the difference between, let's say, being a fan of a deceased author, hey, I thought Alexander Dumas was I loved his work, I think he's great. I don't want that man to be my literary ancestor, because he had a lot of habits, let's say, that don't, he was a serial womanizer. He had a lot of habits that I wouldn't want his intercession on my behalf in any way. I don't feel connected to him in any kind of spiritual way. I admire his work. His work ethic was on point, but I wouldn't want to ask I don't have a connection to him. In fact, again, the way he lived his life was not the way I would ever want to live my life, and did not admire him in that way. So I can still like his work, but I don't want his energy. I don't want his energy it's not helping me in any way in that way. So you could be a fan of someone's work, but that does not mean that you want them to be your literary ancestor. And likewise, you can love the way somebody lived their literary life, and not necessarily be a fan of their work. Now, I'm going to say that Zora Neale Hurston was my literary ancestor of choice in the last writing season of my life. And it's not like I'm not a fan of her work. I am, but I cannot say by any stretch of the imagination that I've read everything that Zora Neale Hurston has written. So I can't be like, it's because of her writing. It's actually because of her life that I feel connected to her, that I felt called to her to be, I felt like, yeah, she would be a perfect literary ancestor for me, because we both were nonfiction writers and fiction writers, deeply interested in the Black experience. Her energy about like the quote she has about, and I'm going to put it on the screen because I don't remember it exactly, but I'm going to paraphrase it, like, how could you not love me? That's my favorite quote of hers. It's like, I don't understand why people don't love me. I'm wonderful. That is not the quote. Again, I'm putting the real one on the screen here. But her energy is one that I connect with a lot. And even though that she died penniless and like her works were kind of out of circulation, even that doesn't bother me. It's her energy and the way she went after the things that she cared about. Also the fact that she was a polymath. She sang, she danced, she was an anthropologist. Like, there was nothing she didn't like follow her interests. And that's like my energy. And so it's not that it has to be based on their writing. It has to be based on a combination of the writing as well as the life, right? The way they live their life and just their energy, right? Which may be too woo-woo for some of you. And if it is, you may turn away. You may fast forward. But the idea is finding your literary ancestor should be a combination of liking their work, but also liking something about the way they live their life. And not just liking, but feeling some sort of connection with it. Like, there has to be some sort of connection. It can't just be admiration. It should be a combination of admiration and some sort of like actual feeling a connection to their life and the way they live their life. Okay? So keep that in mind. Now, why do you need a literary ancestor? What is it they're supposed to be doing in your life? It's two things. One, they can act as a bit of a role model, but also it's like having someone, if you believe in asking for, like, petitioning somebody to intercede on your behalf in your writing life. And that's, again, why you need to make sure that their energy is energy you want in your world, and also that their energy fits what you're asking for, which is why having a literary ancestor doesn't mean like it's a one and done. It fits the season that you're in as a writer. So when I was finishing up my novel, I chose Zora Neale Hurston, again, for those reasons I said before. Like, I felt connected to her. I felt like we had a lot in common. I admired her work ethic, and I admired the, like, magic of her life in the way that a lot of the things that happened to Zora, obviously she worked hard for, but a lot of it was like, it almost felt magical in the sense that, like, she followed her heart, she followed her instincts, and these wonderful things happened for her. She connected with people in amazing ways. She connected with the spiritual world in amazing ways, and it was always about Black people. So this last season of my life, I asked her to intercede on my behalf in a couple of ways with my novel, and girl, she did. Like, I asked for her to help my novel find a champion to just help it get into the world. And she did just that in such an incredible way. It was like, what? I was like, thank you, Zora. I created a little Zora Neale Hurston altar in my room. I have her picture up. I got a little cup of rum, a little pineapple candy, right? Like, I created a little altar for Zora, and I would start every writing session during that season of my life saying, okay, Zora, I'm going to get to work. Please guide my hands. It was that simple. And then I would ask, once the novel was going out, I was like, please help this book find its champion. And she did. She did. And I actually posted something like that on social media, and some other Zora lovers were like, that's how Zora works. So I knew I was onto something. So what do you do? How do you get your literary ancestor? How do you bring them into your life, and how do you work with them or honor them? What's the protocol? So obviously you want to start with writers that you obviously admire, and then see if something about if their work you admire, or their lifestyle, the way they live their life, or the things that they were about really resonates with you at this point in your writing life. That's how you find your literary ancestor. You might already know who that person is. Again, it could be an author that you've just always admired. You've always followed their journey, that you've always resonated with them. And you may be, it might be between 2 and 3, and you just might, see what you feel. This is kind of a woo-woo thing. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just, making that commitment and seeing how it feels. But again, it can either be about the work that just is so powerful to you and it's so similar to what you're trying to do, or it could be about the way they live their life, the way they committed to the writing, the way they wrote about the topic that you care about, or again, how they published. Maybe they were self-publishing in a way that was so incredible and powerful and changed so many lives, and that's the energy you want around you. Maybe it's because they wrote and had to overcome so many odds, and that's what you're feeling. So that's the writer that you want is your literary ancestor to intercede on your behalf. So you might pick 2 or 3 people and then decide which one feels most aligned with you at this time. And remember, you're going to go through different seasons in your writing life, so you can have different literary ancestors in your life. It doesn't have to be, oh, I chose this person, now I want somebody else. You can do that. Just like, my Catholic mother-in-law has like multiple saints, right? Like she's not like, there's only one saint in my life. If it's the saint of lost things, then, you do this. If it's the saint of this, then you do that. Like, then you look, you go to this saint. So the point is, don't feel like you're boxed in with one literary ancestor for your whole life. You might have that person, and that's fine, but look at where you are right now. What do you need? What feels aligned with where you are right now in your writing life? What is it that you need? And find that literary ancestor who represents that for you. Just as a reminder, you don't have to be related to somebody, to an ancestor, to intercede on your behalf. You just have to ask. You just have to ask, hey, can you intercede on my behalf? Or can you inspire me, help me stay focused, help me stay motivated? Have you seen these candles? I'm going to put them up here on the screen, but these candles that have, they're like the Saint Toni Morrison, Saint James Baldwin. It's like they even have the prayers on the back of these candles. It's the idea that there are certain things that writers need. Like, we need extra motivation, we need extra creativity, we need that ability that stick-to-itness, we need that ability to take rejection after rejection and still try again. It feels Herculean. Sometimes it feels too much, and that's when you need your literary ancestor to give you that little bit of extra. Hey, I'm all about magic. I'm all about synchronicity and spirit. I want to invite these things into my life because it elevates my writing practice, and it can elevate yours too. So find your literary ancestor, make a little altar for them, and interpret that however you want. But create the magic in your life. Invite the literary ancestor to do whatever kind of whatever they can do from the other side for you in your writing life. It can't hurt, right? It can't hurt. And it just, again, adds that extra element. And I would love to know if you already have a literary ancestor in your life. Do you have a literary ancestor? And if so, how do you incorporate them into your writing life? Do you have a little altar? Do you have a little prayer for them? Do you keep a picture of them somewhere nearby your writing desk or your writing whatever? I want to hear about it, because I know I'm not the only one who does this. I can't be. I know I'm not. So let me know in the comments if you have your own literary ancestor, who it is, and how you are working with them in your writing life. I know I'm due to connect with a new literary ancestor because I'm in a different space in my life, in a different space in my writing life. And I think I actually know who it's going to be. In fact, I'm pretty sure, I could already feel her energy. And I know she's waiting for me to acknowledge. So And she's a new ancestor. So I will let you guys know in a future video who my new literary ancestor is going to be for this current period of my life. All right. Thank you so much, literarians, for watching. I hope you're having some sunshine in your life like I am. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.